in the last video, we talked about what the rule of three is. We talked about why it's the rule of three. But now I'm going to go further in depth of how to use the rule of threes to supplement your comedy. So last time we talked about it on the written level, about how you can stack it and use multiple layers of it. In this example, the first layer of the rule of threes would be red, yellow, beluga, whale. Just 1, 2, 3. Then on the second layer, we're using rule of three once, rule of three twice, meta layer of the whale pattern, and breaking it on longitudinally breaking the rule of three. And then you could even do like 3 stacks of these on top of each other and do it again and again and again. Okay, that's on the written level, whether you're performing it or whether a robot is just reading it out. But we are not robots. We can do better. So let's add performative rule of threes on top of this. So I'm going to perform for you. I'm about to tell you a joke without using real words. Here we go. My example. Bada bada, bada bada, bada bada. Great. So why did that sort of sound like a joke? If someone said that in a language you didn't understand, you might be like, oh, wait a minute. Was that a joke? If I asked you where the punchline was, you probably definitely go, it was that third line. But why? Why? Well, because the rule of threes being used in melody, in the melody of that joke. So as an example, bada bada, we're going up. Bada bada, we're going up again. Your brain hears this and goes, I bet I know what the next line's gonna do. The next line's gonna go bada bada, even higher. So when I go bada bada, your brain goes, oh wait, that's not what I expected. That is different. And subconsciously I'm saying, and this is the line to listen to. And here's the thing that's different. This is the punchline. So your brain goes, oh, you got me. I've been ruled of three melodically. So these are all going to be vocal ways of using the rule of threes. Melody is one way of doing that. And these can all be stacked together. So the next way of doing that is with volume. Volume, of course. I'll give you an example. Here we go. Bada bada. Bada bada. Bada bada. So a big example of it, you could do a smaller scale version of that with less wild extremes, but you can imagine this to be a joke on a kid's show. It's similarly, you could also go the other way. Instead of soft, softer, really loud, you go loud, really loud, super soft one. And I take that big breath before the third one to give you time to make that expectation and to also build the tension that I'm about to release. So we have melody. We have volume. We can also use rhythm. Ooh, rhythm is a dancing and a way to make jokes. For example, ba da ba da ba da ba da ba da. Right? Slow, slower, fast. Similar, you could go fast, faster, slow one. Right? And that's the way you can stack yet another thing. You could use all these together. You could use melody, volume, and rhythm all together to make your punchlines hit harder. And also notice how I'm trying to mirror my physicality. I could be doing like this, not moving at all really, and still doing all these things vocally. I'm sort of naturally adding a physical level on top of these. But the final vocal way to do the rule of threes is something I call stank. You might also think of it as character. I'll give a more concrete example here. So imagine like bada bada, bada bada, bada bada. It's sort of like, now my voice is different. I've suddenly become a new character. It's kind of like where you're positioning the voice in your mouth and the timbre of it, how you're using your articulators. But you can do stank without changing the rhythm, volume, or the melody. So it's its own sort of category. And these are the 4 main ways I think of when I think of ways to use the rule of three vocally. Technically, I'm sure there's lots of more. Anything you could do in a music score, you could use that for comedy. But these are the main ones I think of. If you can think of an easy one yourself, please write it in the comments. I would love to hear it. And like I was saying, I was mirroring my physicality when I gave these examples. These are all being done just on the vocal line. They could be done if this was just an audio recording. I could be using all of these. Similarly, on yet another level of using the rule of threes, and I hate to do this to you, here close up, You can also physically use the rule of threes. For example, I could be like this direction, that direction. You can use like this point on the stage, same point on the stage, different point on the stage. You could use, I'm doing it one way, I'm doing it normal, I'm doing it as a character. There's sort of a physical version of all these vocal ones. I just can't show you pictures for them because really you need 3 dimensions and a more fuller expression of that. But think about them and try to see any sort of physical patterns people make, and you'll be like, oh okay, I see that. And if you can think of any to write them in the comments. I would love that. I will be making a future video breaking these down with concrete examples, the physical ones. But we have all these vocal ways to add the rule of threes. We have physical ways to add on top of it. So going back to our original example, if I'm going to try to stack a lot of these on top of each other at the same time, here is sort of what that looks like. Red, yellow, blue, go whale. Melody, blue, change of melody. This, that, and then my physicality sort of makes this like, and I'm building tension and breaking it. Purple, pink, green, peace. Right? Same thing, but the second iteration. Gray, white, black, tie for the whales. Right. So I'm sort of using stank, using melody, I'm using my physicality to match vocally. And why? Why are we stacking why are we doing so much work to add all these rule of threes on top of each other? The reason we're doing that is because each level at which we add a rule of threes is sort of subconsciously saying, pay attention to this line. And it's also sort of subconsciously saying, and you laugh here. There's this thing in comedy where you can sort of coerce or bully the audience into laughing more than they normally would. Like, the written joke is a C- joke, but because you performed it better, you get an A+ laugh from it. You get a much bigger laugh than you maybe should have. And it's because you're doing this sort of like, and you should laugh here, subconsciously, and they go, I should laugh here, and they do. So that's the reason we should stack all of these layers of the rule of threes on top of each other, and it sort of all synergizes with itself. Now, it's not just the rule of threes. There are other ways to do this, both on the written page and physically and vocally, which we will go over in future videos, which should be popping up right now. Feel free to check those out and continue. And as always, feel free to check us out live on stream when we do this and we teach this. Thank you so much. Bye.